in a hotel room in Oregon, and as I'm writing this scene, I'm crying.
This story is not simply about a crime or a headline that briefly captured public attention. It is a deeply personal reflection on family, silence, responsibility, and the painful consequences of choices made with love, but without limits. At its core, it explores what happens when long-standing emotional fractures are ignored, when hope replaces boundaries, and when tragedy forces clarity too late. Told through the voice of an eldest child, a journalist, and a son, the narrative moves between memory and loss, guilt and restraint, revealing how a single moment can redefine an entire lifetime. This is a human story about grief that does not end, questions that never resolve, and the fragile line between compassion and self-preservation. A Christmas once filled with hope for years. Christmas symbolized reconciliation and healing. The narrator believed that the holiday would finally bring an end to distance and silence, allowing the family to reunite in their old Brentwood home. It represented a chance to say the words that had been held back for too long, and to believe, even briefly, that the family was still whole. This hope was not naive, but deeply human, built on longing rather than denial. Christmas became a container for every unspoken apology and unresolved emotion. The idea of sitting with parents again, sharing stories and presents, felt like a restoration of something lost. That belief gave meaning to endurance and patience. When it collapsed, it did so completely, transforming Christmas from a symbol of reunion into a permanent reminder of loss. What was once warmth became emotional cold, redefining the holiday forever. The phone call that shattered everything. On December 14th, a single phone call destroyed every illusion of safety. The news arrived without preparation or mercy. The parents were dead, not due to illness or accident, but through deliberate violence. Shock froze the narrator's ability to think or react. Before grief could even take shape, another name surfaced: the younger brother, Nick. That moment suspended reality, forcing the mind to shut down to survive the unbearable truth. Time felt distorted, sound disappeared, and the world lost coherence. This was not only the loss of parents, but the collapse of an entire family structure in one breath. The suddenness left no room for processing, only survival. The call marked the irreversible point where hope ended, and a darker path began, one that would haunt every future memory. When family becomes the source of fear. Learning that a sibling was involved in the tragedy introduced a complex emotional storm. Love, disbelief, anger, and dread collided. The narrator did not immediately cry or scream, not out of coldness, but because the mind refused to accept such a reality. Some truths arrived too violently to be absorbed at once. This moment forced the recognition that danger had existed long before the crime itself. The fear was not new, only confirmed. Family, once associated with protection, had slowly become a source of anxiety and unease. The realization was devastating because it stripped away the last sense of innocence. Blood ties no longer guaranteed safety. The tragedy did not emerge from nowhere. It erupted from years of unresolved tension and denial that had been quietly growing. The eldest child's silent role. From an early age, the narrator learned a quiet lesson that many eldest children recognize too well. Love often came with expectations of sacrifice. Being the firstborn meant learning how to step back before anyone ever asked. He gave up attention, space, and sometimes even his own voice, believing that this was simply what love required. When Nick was born, that role became fixed. He learned to wait, to adjust, and to reassure himself that his needs were secondary. The phrase "be understanding" followed him through childhood, slowly replacing any real curiosity about how he felt. Over time, this emotional pattern shaped his identity. He became skilled at calming himself, at saying, "I'm fine," even when he wasn't, because that response kept peace intact. Silence became a form of survival rather than choice. What the story gently exposes is something rarely acknowledged. The quiet endurance of the eldest child can hide deep fractures. Those fractures don't vanish simply because they are ignored. They deepen quietly, collecting years of unspoken feelings. And when they finally surface, they often do so in moments of crisis, when repair is no longer possible. The cost of being endlessly strong is often paid much later, when strength is no longer enough. Addiction's slow and relentless grip. The first signs of trouble did not arrive dramatically. They appeared in small, unsettling moments that were easy to dismiss at first. Nick's distant expressions, sudden mood changes, and unexplained absences created a sense of unease that lingered beneath everyday life. The narrator sensed that something was wrong and initially believed these moments were a call for help. Yet addiction has a way of dulling even the loudest cries, turning concern into confusion and fear into exhaustion. As the years passed, the family found itself trapped in a repeating cycle. Promises were made with sincerity, hope returned briefly, and then disappointment followed again. Each attempt at recovery brought renewed belief, and each setback felt heavier than the last. The parents lived in a constant state of waiting, always alert, always anxious, waiting for phone calls, waiting for reassurance, waiting to know that their son was safe, even if only for another day. This struggle did not destroy the family all at once. Instead, it slowly wore everyone down. Energy that once went into living was redirected toward managing fear. Conversations became careful, emotions guarded. Life narrowed until survival became the main goal. The story captures how addiction does not only affect the person at its center, but quietly reshapes the lives of everyone who loves them, leaving exhaustion where joy once lived. Love, without boundaries. The parents' devotion to their youngest son never wavered. They believed deeply that compassion, patience, and presence could guide him back to stability. Opening their home felt like an act of healing, a way to remind him that he was never alone. The narrator understood this instinct. He never doubted their love or their intentions. What troubled him was the growing realization that love, when left without limits, can unintentionally become harmful. As boundaries blurred, the family dynamic shifted. Instead of functioning as a supportive unit, everyone began reacting to fear. Decisions were made moment by moment, driven by the hope that things would not spiral further. Honest conversations became difficult. Silence took the place of truth because speaking openly felt too risky. The home no longer felt like a place of rest, but a place of constant alertness. This part of the story confronts a difficult truth many families struggle to accept. Love alone cannot fix everything. Without boundaries, compassion can lose its protective power. It can enable patterns that slowly damage everyone involved. The unanswered question lingers quietly. Who bears the cost of never saying no? The narrative does not blame love itself, but asks readers to consider how love must sometimes be paired with limits to truly protect the people it is meant to save. Choosing journalism as a shield. The narrator's path into journalism was not driven by a desire for attention or recognition. Instead, it was shaped by caution. Carrying a well-known family name made him wary of visibility. Journalism felt safe because it allowed him to stand behind the story rather than inside it. By telling other people's stories, he believed he could keep his own pain at a distance. The camera, the script, and the structure offered control, something his personal life often lacked. He approached his work quietly and reliably. He showed up, did his job well, and avoided drawing attention to himself. Colleagues appreciated his steadiness and calm presence. On the surface, everything appeared stable. Yet when the workday ended, the emptiness returned. Reporting on the lives of others did not erase his own unresolved emotions. It only delayed them. Over time, he realized that staying behind the camera did not offer the protection he had hoped for. Life has a way of entering the frame, whether we invite it or not. Pain does not respect professional distance. The stories he covered eventually reflected parts of himself he could no longer ignore. Journalism taught him many things, but perhaps the most important lesson was this: no career can fully shield us from our own lives. Healing requires more than distance. It requires acknowledgement, honesty, and the courage to face what we have spent years trying to outrun. Returning to acting on his own terms. When he finally returned to acting, it was not with bold declarations or expectations of recognition. It happened quietly, almost cautiously, as if he were testing whether the space would accept him, without demanding too much in return. He did not arrive believing he deserved attention, nor did he try to dominate the room. Instead, he brought with him something far less visible, but far more powerful: restraint. His performances were measured, emotionally grounded, and shaped by years of observation rather than ambition. He had spent so much of his life standing on the sidelines that blending into a story felt natural. Over time, that quiet presence became his signature. Audiences and directors began to notice something different in his work, a depth that did not rely on dramatic gestures or loud emotion. It was the kind of acting that felt lived in, as though every pause carried meaning. People stopped seeing him as someone defined by his last name and began recognizing him as an individual with a voice shaped by experience, loss, and careful reflection. Success came slowly, and when it did, it felt unfamiliar. Awards and praise did not register as triumphs, but as confirmation that he had endured. Standing in the spotlight no longer felt dangerous, because he had learned how to hold himself steady within it. Yet even then, the past never fully faded. Every role carried echoes of what he had lived through, quietly informing his performances and reminding him that growth does not erase history. It simply teaches you how to live alongside it. Parents who never truly left. Although his parents were physically distant, they were never absent from his inner world. In his imagination, they remained constant figures, quietly present in the background of every milestone. He pictured his father standing off to the side, arms crossed, watching with a reserved sense of pride. His mother, in contrast, existed as a gentler presence, absorbing every detail, holding on to moments as if preserving them for later. These imagined scenes brought comfort, a sense that he was never truly alone, even when miles separated them. Their connection continued through small rituals, phone calls filled with updates, shared laughter, and brief silences that carried more meaning than words. Messages were exchanged, achievements shared, moments documented and sent across distances. He believed deeply that there would be time to bring everything together. time to return home, to sit at the table, and to lay his accomplishments out, like late arriving gifts. He wanted them to see him, not as the child who endured quietly, but as the man he had become. That belief rested on a fragile assumption that life would pause long enough for reunions to happen. It did not. The future he imagined dissolved suddenly, leaving behind the ache of unfinished conversations. The reunion he had rehearsed in his mind never took place. What remained were memories and imagined moments, now frozen in place. His parents never truly left him, but the chance to stand beside them again was taken before he was ready. The loss was not only of people, but of time itself. The warning that went unheeded. 3 months before everything changed, the narrator reached out with urgency and fear. When he learned that Nick wanted to return home, something inside him tightened. This was not a reaction rooted in resentment or judgment. It was instinct, shaped by years of witnessing patterns repeat themselves. He called his parents not to accuse, but to plead. His words came from a place of concern, a desire to protect everyone involved. He asked for boundaries, not rejection. He asked for caution, not abandonment. He spoke openly about his fears, about the behaviors that worried him, about the feeling that something was dangerously off balance. In his mind, this was an attempt to prevent harm, to interrupt a cycle before it could deepen. His parents listened, but as they had done so many times before, they chose hope. They believed in love as a solution, in patience as a remedy. They trusted that offering safety and support would be enough to guide their son back to stability. That moment became a quiet turning point, one that would later replay endlessly in his thoughts. What if he had pushed harder? What if he had insisted more forcefully, shown up sooner, refused to step back? These questions have no answers, only wait. Warnings that go unheard often return later as regret, heavy and unresolved. This was not a failure of love, but a reminder that good intentions do not always prevent tragedy. Sometimes, boundaries delayed or avoided can lead to consequences that no one is prepared to carry. The bail request and the final boundary. After the arrest, Nick called, desperate and pleading. He asked for belief, for money, for rescue. The narrator faced an impossible choice. Helping would mean crossing a line that could never be uncrossed. Saying no felt like betrayal, yet saying yes felt like abandoning truth. He chose the boundary, not out of hatred but survival. The decision ended their relationship as it once was. Love was no longer enough to save anyone. This moment marked the acceptance that some lines, once crossed, change everything forever. Grief in the public eye. Reporting the tragedy while living it created a unique and unbearable burden. Sitting under studio lights, the narrator was exposed, not just as a journalist, but as a grieving son. Viewers felt the weight of that vulnerability. Silence spread across living rooms, not as spectacle, but shared sorrow. The audience did not react with outrage, only quiet empathy. Many realized they were witnessing pain that should never be public. This shared stillness highlighted the fragile boundary between information and intrusion, reminding everyone of the humanity behind headlines, living with guilt and regret. In the aftermath, grief fused with anger and regret. Nightmares replayed unanswered warnings and missed chances. The narrator lost not only his parents, but his belief that love and caution are always enough. Speaking out became an attempt to transform pain into warning. Some mistakes allow no second chance. Some holidays never return. This story is offered not for attention, but as a reminder that early signs matter and boundaries save lives. Silence, when prolonged, can become deadly. A story that echoes beyond one family. This tragedy resonates because it reflects struggles many families face quietly. Addiction, denial, fear, and love collide in countless homes. The story urges reflection, not judgment. It asks difficult questions about responsibility, limits, and compassion. By sharing this journey, the narrator invites others to listen more closely, to act sooner, and to understand that protecting oneself is not the same as abandoning others. Some truths arrive too late, but sharing them may prevent future loss.